Okay, thanks guys. I appreciate you coming out today to talk about this. What I'm going to talk to you about is a matter involving some extreme irregularities in a case handled by Prosecutor Paul Gaines. A couple things I want to say initially. First of all, I'm not making any allegations against the court for the way that the court handled this. I think the court was within their discretion, as you'll see. Nor am I faulting the defendant or his attorney in this case. Likewise, I don't believe that the assistant prosecutor did anything wrong. I think this is something that falls squarely on Paul Gaines, and so I want to make that perfectly clear. The second thing I want to make clear as well is that because I did work in the prosecutor's office, there are confidentiality and privilege matters, so I cannot discuss cases that I became privy to because of my working relationship there. And so I am limited to things that I observed publicly and things that happened after I left the office. And so this case falls into that category. And so I wanted to make that perfectly clear before starting today. And so what happened in this matter, in May of 2006, there was a defendant who got into a fight at a bar, and he proceeded to break a bottle over the victim's head, as well as punching him. The victim suffered serious physical harm and was hospitalized. Within a month, there was an arrest warrant issued out of Austin Town Court for this defendant, and he turned himself into the courts 3 days later. At the time, Austin Town Court recognized that they had a conflict of interest in handling the case and reassigned the case to Canfield Court. It languished in Canfield Court from June of 2006. Finally, in November 2006, nearly 6 months later, Paul Gaines acknowledged that he too had a conflict of interest in representing this case. The defendant in this matter is a relative of Paul Gaines' second in command, Nicholas Modarelli. And so Gaines recognized that he has this conflict of interest in handling this case, filed a petition with the court for the appointment of a special independent prosecutor. The court granted that motion on that same day in November 29, 2006, and Assistant City Prosecutor Basil Ali was appointed as the independent prosecutor on this matter. The independent prosecutor in February 2007 presented this matter to the grand jury, and the grand jury returned a one-count indictment for felonious assault. Felonious assault is a felony of the second degree. It carries between 2 to 8 years in prison, and it is an offense of violence. The case was assigned to Judge Kirchbaum, and the case moved normally through the docket. In May of 2007, the independent prosecutor moved to amend that count from a felonious assault down to an aggravated assault, a felony of the fourth degree. And the defendant in that case pled guilty on May 8th, 2007 to the amended charge of aggravated assault, felony of the fourth degree, which is still a felony offense of violence. He was sentenced to a term of community control, or probation, if you will, and he successfully completed that in February 2010. The court terminated the probationary status of the defendant. In April 2015, so 7 years after this incident occurred, actually almost 9 years after it happened, and 5 years after the officer was terminated from probation, the defendant filed a motion to have his record expunged. At the time, Paul Gaines again acknowledged that he had a conflict of interest because this defendant was related to Paul Gaines' second in command, and it would be improper for him to handle this case. Paul Gaines again asked for and received a substitution of counsel. At this time, Assistant Prosecutor Jeffrey Moliterno was assigned as the special independent prosecutor, free of any conflicts. Attorney Moliterno, as independent prosecutor, opposed the expungement of the defendant's record because he was statutorily ineligible. Felony offenses of violence are not expungible. So he opposed that, and in September 2015, the court